this home service, we're particularly sharing a story of a young family who visited us in Seoul just for several weeks. They came to church, and as they were leaving, I asked the family, because they had a young boy about 11 years old, if he had been baptized yet, and they said no. And I said, well, would he like to be baptized? And they said, could we do that? And that just led into a series of conversations, and they came to the church twice a week for about 3 weeks that they were there, and finally ended with having him baptized on Sunday morning. And what was really touching to me was that his parents had adopted him in Korea. His mother was North Korean, a North Korean refugee, and had gone from North Korea through China and had a child, and she ultimately gave that child up when she arrived in South Korea. And so he was adopted to this other family. So he told me, Pastor, I can't wait till I turn 18, because then I can learn the identity of my mother and I can share Jesus with her, because she probably has never heard of him. And that to me was very touching and helped me understand, sometimes it's hard to see just the impact our work will make, but God's at work in everything we're doing. So it's really a blessing.
At the time, I was teaching English at Concordia Middle School, got a postcard from the government, and I couldn't understand what it said. So I asked a student English teacher who was sitting behind me, and she told me what it said. So I invited her to my house for lunch, and while she was there, I was making BLTs. I asked her, what do you think about God, or what do you believe about God? She said, do you mean the Christian God or just any God? I said, your God. She said, well, on the holidays, or if we need something, we might go to a temple. I said, oh, that sounds like a distant relative or a business or something. I said, my God talks to me every day, and I talk to him too. And she said, really? I thought the Christian God was an angry God. And I told her no, and I showed her in John where Jesus said, I no longer call you servants, I call you friends. And she burst into tears. But then we had to go back because it was only lunchtime. And the next day she comes across the campus and says to me, Barb, are you willing to tell me more about this God who wants to be my friend? And then just this month, she and her husband and their 2 sons are moving from Rhode Island, and they're moving to St. Louis. Her husband is going to study to become a Lutheran pastor, and she's going to be a Lutheran deaconess.
At Resurrection Sunday, and when I was preaching, that couple was crying after the sermon, and I thought, okay, what happening? But at the end, they told me, well, we were apart from church for a long time, having this difficult life, and we can see through Jesus and his resurrection that we can have a new life, and we can live a better life in his forgiveness and his eternal life. And after that, they're able to speak with others. I remember one time this person told me that he was in his family reunion and he was telling everybody about Jesus, and suddenly he was like, what am I doing? Like, before he thought he wouldn't be able to do that, but having this happiness of the gospel, he was able to talk to others.
We had a man come to us from Taiwan. He was a Buddhist, raised in a Buddhist family, and he came to church, and ultimately through coming to church he was led to wanting to be baptized, and he was catechized and baptized, and now it's wonderful to see his own child baptized as well. So, there's a good example of how the blessing of coming to faith didn't just bless him, but blessed even his family.
I am helping at a local church plant about 20 minutes away from where I live. And every Wednesday we have kids club, and there's English and games, and we also share the gospel every single week with the kids. And now it's been going on for a couple years, and the kids are getting more and more curious about the gospel. They've started coming sometimes to the Sunday services and to some of the other events at the church plant, and even some of them have asked questions about baptism. So that's been really interesting to see how God is working through this one ministry to affect a larger group.